It's 11 o'clock Mountain Time, and we are going to get started. I am Dale Warner with Realvolve, and I absolutely love talking about automation in real estate. So I'm very excited for our topic today about breaking through and how modern agents are using automation to achieve in their career. And I want to make sure that everybody knows where the chat is. If you check in on the chat or the Q&A, I will be monitoring that. I also have Mike joining me from our marketing team. He's the Realvolve Firepoint logo that you see on the screen there. He's going to be helping me today make sure that I get to all of the questions. So please engage. I'm going to ask some questions, and hopefully you'll feel compelled to respond, because the more interactive, the better. We are live right now if you're joining us on Thursday, May 20th here. Again, thanks to everybody for joining us today. So in the chat, let me know where you're joining from and what's your role on a team. If you're on a team, what's your role? And the third thing I'd love to hear from everybody is, what's the number one obstacle that you feel like is in your way in your business right now, that if you could fix that one thing, would help you achieve another level of success, however you're defining success for yourself. I know it's different for everybody. So, got people in Missouri, in California, Calgary, individual agent, Georgia, individual agent, not tech savvy. Ava, you're in the right place. We hear that all the time. Let's see, office manager in Reno. Hi, Robin. Jacksonville, Florida. I have a slew of buyers and need assistance keeping in touch. I'll touch on that. Thanks, Lauren, for putting that in there. Real estate agent in New York, owner of brokerage in South Florida. Danny, you are a man after my own heart. I love that. Yolanda, Houston, operations manager. Number one obstacle is efficiency. Yolanda, you are in the right place. I'm not sure, Yolanda, if you are a current Realvolve customer or not, but usually ops managers and transaction coordinators love the Realvolve CRM more than anybody. Let's see, Granite Bay, California, Pocono Pines, Pennsylvania, Wisconsin. Individual agent, Mike is trying to spread the news about new division of brokerage. Love it. Secret agent in Vegas. Thanks, Terrence. So welcome, everybody. Thanks again for joining. So keep it flowing there in the chat. Let me know where you're calling from, what's your role on the team, and what's your number one challenge you're trying to solve right now. And I will be sure to touch on our opinion, Realvolve's opinion, on how we can solve that problem. It might be with our solution, it might be with somebody else's, and that's totally fine. So let me just share my screen and get into the presentation here today, because I have a little bit of a long intro, so I hope you'll bear with me for a little bit. I think it's important to go through some background information to set the tone for us today and make sure that we're all looking at these problems and these solutions the same way. And, you know, here at Realvolve, we've been through a lot in our own right. And we've got a lot of people in our company that have been real estate agents or worked in the industry for a long time. I started my career as a loan officer, and then got into the technology side and have been on the technology side forever. But I have a passion for real estate, for helping real estate agents go to the next level. And that's what a lot of us here at Realvolve focus on. Because depending on the season, or depending on the year, whatever the market's doing, real estate can be about how to survive, about maybe how to grow, how to scale, how to succeed without burning out. And that's the key, is that we're all susceptible to burnout. We all have a different threshold for how much we can do and how much we can juggle. And we also have different challenges that we're working on in our personal lives. We understand that, right? Real estate agents are human beings, and we all have hopes and dreams. We all have our own challenges that we have to deal with. And the technology, in a lot of ways, just needs to disappear and go away, and the solutions need to be at the forefront of what we're interacting with as real estate teams using technology. And to the clients, they're not feeling this technology, they just feel a great experience. They have a really high level, they have high expectations, right? Consumers are increasingly demanding about this level of service because all of us in the Western world are, we get to experience these massive companies that have amazing technology and amazing automation. And so we touch and feel amazing automation everywhere we go. And we need to make sure we're doing the same thing for our clients, delivering an amazing experience where the technology just kind of disappears. And so here at Realvolve, our objective is to help agents get efficient with their things so that they can be effective with their people. It's all about efficacy when it comes to our clients and with our team. So just a tiny bit about me. I love scaling businesses. I love helping people, and I love automation. I've had 3 Inc. 500 companies, fastest growing companies in America that I've been a part of, kind of getting off the ground. And one unique fact is that I'm a proud tractor owner. I love working out in my yard and on my property. So if you come over to my place on the weekends, you'll probably see me working outside, and probably it'll be on a tractor. Like I said, this is my 3rd Inc. 500 company. In 2009, we were awarded one of the fastest growing companies in America at 394. I think we got it this year too, for 2020. But our 3-year growth back last year that we were awarded was 1,164%. So there's something that we're doing that's resonating with real estate teams because of the automation that we can provide and that we can help become imbued in your culture as a real estate team. So I just want to talk a little bit about our automation technology. Let me pull up the chat. I got to move the chat over to my other monitor here so that I can see both at the same time. All righty. Okay. Oh, and so we got an admin from Eugene, Oregon. We've got Beth from Mountain Town in California, desperately need listings. Lisa, want to touch on past and potential clients on a regular basis, offering important info that doesn't lose them or make them unsubscribe. And let's see. Stand by. 1 second. Hey, Mike. So Mike Gruber on the call here. If you can make Mark an admin, if you can elevate him in the participants list there for me. He can also help on chat. So Mark is the hero of Realvolve. He's known as like the wizard internally here. So a lot of people look to Mark as he's the ultimate guru on automation. I'm just here to repeat what Mark has taught me over the years. So Mark, thank you so much for joining us today. I wasn't expecting you. So one of the things that makes Realvolve amazing, this is what really separates us from the rest of the technology that you might be using. And I'm not just talking about real estate technology. I'm talking about, you'll be hard pressed to find something this amazing in terms of how we do our technology anywhere in the technology space. And so a lot of technologies that we use, and I've used lots of different CRMs over my career. I've used the biggest and the baddest, Salesforce, where it takes $100,000, $200,000 just to get it set up and configured, in addition to the monthly fee that you're paying. And by the way, it's like $115 per person per month using a technology like Salesforce. And then there's the HubSpot kind of marketing automation with Marketo, HubSpot, and Pardot, all these other big marketing automation technologies. And they charge you per user, or I'm sorry, per person that you have in your list. So if you have 2,000 customers or past clients you're following up with, they charge you for that. And then there's all these other sales acceleration technologies like InsideSales.com, Outreach, SalesLoft. There's all these other tools that a lot of technology companies or other big Fortune 500 companies are using to effectively reach out to people. And what they do, all these other companies do, is they have to mix and match all of this technology, and different people in different departments are using something separate. It's very expensive. It's very cumbersome. You have to have like PhD level people configuring all of this stuff for you. And what we wanted to do is take our technology, make it extremely powerful, and create an all-encompassing technology that would help you with your leads, with your current clients, and with your past clients. All 3 of those kind of customer stages. So it's leads, current clients, past clients, all under one roof. And the automation that we created for that it's called our 4D automation platform. And the top 2 Ds you can find in all of those other technologies that I just mentioned. These top 2 Ds is what I call the time delays and the specific dates. In other words, what do I mean by this? In other words, I can schedule an automation, let's just say a drip campaign. I can schedule a drip campaign to start today, and then it will delay 7 days, then delay 20 days after that, then delay 2 days after that, or whatever. I can schedule all these delays off the start date. Some technologies in our space also can do working backward off of the end date. So I can say my close date, is June 20th, and 7 days before that, I need to make sure this is done, and before that, I need to make sure this is done. So you can either work them backwards or forwards. Those are time delays. Specific dates, I can schedule an email or a task or a reminder to go off at a certain time. Remind me on June 20th to do this, that, the other thing. Send out this email, 7 days before Christmas. So we can do that on very specific dates as well. So Realvolve has those, but we've added these other 2 dimensions here. One of them is called decision points. So the automation can work forward, work backwards, work off a specific date, and then it can also wait until you or a team member on your team makes a decision about what needs to happen next. And that's crucial because the technology doesn't necessarily know how a meeting went, how a home inspection came back, what the conversation was about when you were reaching out to a prospect. And so the task will pop up to tell you to call somebody, and then you choose your own adventure with the next thing. That's a decision point. So you might have 2 or 3 different options, and I'll show you an example of that in a little bit, and I'll talk about why that's important. And then dones. Our technology can hold tasks until something else gets completed. One example I like to use for that is a photography. You might have a photography date scheduled, and there's lots of things you want to do, update the MLS and print flyers or whatever, that you can't do all of those other tasks. There might be 3 dozen things, and you can't do them until you get the photography back. And so Realvolve can hold all of those tasks, including some emails that might be going out, some to-dos for you and your team. It might hold all of those in the background until you say, this was complete. I got the photography back. Now schedule all these things. And so what this does, this complete 4D automation, what it does for you is that it doesn't get off track, right? It stays in sync with what's actually happening in real life. It allows you to be flexible with how you like to do things in your team. So we're not telling you exactly how everything should happen, although we do have a library of workflows that you could rely on to get started, but it's flexible. And then the last thing is, of course, it's sending things at the right time to the right people involved in your transactions and with your prospects and with your past clients. And again, the technology just disappears. So it just feels like you and your team are completely on top of it. I keep saying your team because that's one of our main focuses, but we also are really good for budding teams. So a lot of individual agents use our technology as well. So don't be scared away by me saying teams. It's just that we've kind of built it with teams in mind, or if you're a growing team, in the way that we delegate things. But more than half of our customers are individual agents. I just want to make that clear. So we've done a lot of things right. In our careers, I think a lot of us have focused on automation. A lot of us focused on systems. A lot of us focused on the customer, trying to put the customer first. But here at Realvolve, in my personal career, and some of us on the team have done a lot of things wrong. One of the major mistakes that we've made in our careers is that we relied too heavily on leads. Again, this goes across every industry. If you're too heavily reliant on leads and you don't really take care of your current customers and your past clients, then it's a self-fulfilling prophecy. You will always be reliant on those new leads. And some people that are just getting started out right now are super hungry for listings, desperate for listings. And in a lot of markets, buyers are a dime a dozen. You just have people that want to buy properties, and there's just not a lot of properties for sale. We are certainly in a seller's market right now in most places. And so the teams that have been established for a long time, that have done a really good job of focusing on customer service, that have focused on past clients, the listings are flowing for them. I've talked to several agents over the last 2 weeks. A lot of them had their best year ever in 2020 and are already pacing way ahead in 2021. And the magic formula there is that they focused on their past clients going back for sometimes decades. The good news is it's never too late to start. There's that Chinese proverb that says best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago, and the next best time is today. So let's start planting trees today, take care of our current clients and our past clients, and you'll be surprised at how quickly things can turn around and you can start getting listings out of your current sphere. Your friends and family, your current clients, your past clients can really be your best asset when it comes to lead generation for listings. So moving on. I'm going to skip a few slides here. So I just want to talk, again, I told you I was going to have a kind of a long intro because this stuff is very important. So I want to talk a little bit about automation and technology and what we should be investing in automation and technology in our businesses. When I was a kid, my dad was a computer software developer. And this was when software development was still pretty early on. This was in the 70s. And my dad would fly around the country custom coding, all in the late 70s and the early 80s, custom building software for people. And I remember one client that he told me about that was in Colorado. We grew up in the Bay Area in Silicon Valley. And he had one client in Colorado that he flew out to and spent like a couple of weeks in a closet programming just a database management program to help them with inventory. And it's a pretty simple thing to do. It's easy for us today. If you just wanted a piece of software to manage your inventory, like Google Sheets would do the trick. It's a pretty simple thing. It just depends on what you want it to tie into today. But essentially what he was building was an extremely watered down version of what you could do in 5 minutes in a Google Sheet today or in Excel. And so these companies would spend hundreds of thousands of dollars to get these very simple technologies. When we look at them today, they're simple. Back then, they were state-of-the-art, life-changing technologies. And they would spend hundreds of thousands of dollars to buy the machines, to have custom software development, and to build it and configure it the way they wanted. We've forgotten how important that is to our business, to have our own data and our own customer lists. I remember on Saturdays, my dad would take me down. He worked for he was working for a regional stationery store. This was before, Office Max and Office Depot and all the big box stores kind of put these regional players out of business. But at the time, it was a store that was all across California. They sold stationery and other office supplies, Hallmark cards, et cetera. And I'd go down on Saturday and he would pull the tape out of the drawer, label it, stick it on the shelf and put another tape in. And again, it was just a lot of effort and a lot of time to track basic information. And today it's so easy to do. And yet we have forgotten how important it is. It's cheap. It's not expensive anymore. It's cheap to do it. It's so much more effective and we can do so much more with our data. And yet all of us like to dismiss the technology. And I'm not picking on anybody, but I did see one comment here that said, I'm not tech savvy. And that's okay. If we don't feel like we have a natural inclination to technology, that's okay. We should still learn the technology. Those are the tools of our trade. Plumbers have to learn how to use all of their tools and wrenches and everything. In real estate, we've got to learn how to use our MLS and our CRM. Those are the two basic stakes that we need to have in the ground in our business. We need to know where our customer lists are, have basic information about them, be able to access that really quickly. And that's the critical stuff in a CRM. And then some CRMs in the industry are just a glorified spreadsheet where I can put my client's information and I can look it up. That's a great start. That is a fantastic start. If you have a clean customer list of all your current clients and past clients, you can filter them easily and find out what, some basic information about them, their spouse, their kids, the year they bought with you, little things like that. Sort them by zip code. Little things like that are extremely important. But that's kind of step one. Step two is all of the automation. And within the CRM space, there's this big spectrum of features, and it can be very confusing because all of us in the CRM game are talking about all of this automation and all these things that we can do, and there's really this spectrum. You can have full-blown automation and configuration like Salesforce level automation. Most people in real estate don't want that. Some do, most don't. And there can be systems that tie transactions to their owners. And you can mix and match things. You can put parties, build parties of people. You can do some really cool things with technology. There's a little bit of what people are calling AI. It's not true AI, but AI is kind of cropping up. Some machine learning algorithms are cropping up. And in Realvolve, we have tried to be in the middle, to pull the best out of all of those things and configure it for real estate from the ground up. And so we've built it with contacts, properties, transactions, and we tie that to some files. We tie the people to those properties and transactions, and we tie people to people in the case of spouses. In the case of a loan officer that's working on a deal for us, we can tie the loan officer to that transaction and identify them as the loan officer. And we can also put things on your calendar, and we can tie files that come in through your email to your properties, your transactions, and to your contacts as well. And so it was built with real estate in mind first and foremost. And we interview agents all the time. All of us talk to real estate agents all the time and try to keep a pulse. What's going on in the industry, what your challenges are. So let's talk about the automation for just a second, because automation can get pretty complicated. What we've done is we've engineered a process that is simple to understand. Because what we do is we take these little building blocks. And this, what you're seeing on the screen here is a toy that I bought for my kids several years ago called a Caterpillar from Fisher-Price. And each of the segments on the caterpillar represents a directive that you want to give the toy, and it runs them in order from front to back. And so you can plug all these things in, and then you hit go, you hit that blue button on its back, and it goes forward, turns left, turns right, goes forward again, blinks the lights. It does all kinds of cool things, and you can set up a little obstacle course. And then my kids learn how to engineer a process and solve problems through a guess and check type of a process. Well, we've done the same exact thing for real estate, only it's listing appointments and emails and tasks and deadlines. And we've mixed and matched all of those things so that you can run a process start to finish. And I have a listing process up here on the screen. This is an example that we built along with a real estate agent. And here's one example of how that 4D automation comes into play. You have a listing appointment. There's 3 options off of that listing appointment. The first option to the left there is, I didn't get the listing appointment. So what do you do when you don't get the listing appointment? After the listing appointment, you don't get the deal. Then on the right, there's no decision. You went to the listing appointment. They haven't made up their mind yet. You've got to drip on them. You've got to keep following up with them until you get a yes or a no. And then once you do get the listing appointment, what happens next? Now you move it into pre-list, and there's a whole series of other tasks that you've got to get done. Once you get an offer versus not having an offer, there's certain ways that you want to communicate. Before you have an offer on the table, you still have to keep in touch. In most markets throughout history, we've had to keep in touch with our sellers. Right now, it's a little different for most of us. But once you get an offer, there's all this other stuff that has to happen. There's tasks, there's deadlines, there's transaction coordinators involved. A lot of times there's an admin involved. You have maybe up to 30 different contractors, title, loan, all the agent on the other side of transact. There's all these people involved in this. And when you communicate and what you should communicate can be managed by technology like Realvolve. The entire process can be managed by Realvolve. And it's a smart system that helps you stay in touch with everybody involved and manage all of the tasks involved without requiring you to juggle it all in your head. What that means is if your process is all in a system and you can see what happens next and when it happens, and your clients are being emailed what's going on, and your admin and you are in sync because you can see the same system. Once that happens, the peace of mind that it provides when your head hits the pillow at night is life-changing. You can rest easy every night knowing that every detail has been thought through and is being taken care of. And the automation never sleeps. So it'll just keep, it doesn't get sick, it doesn't sleep, it will just keep going, asking for your input at certain points, and other things are just kind of running in full-blown automation mode. Now, this is on the more advanced end of what we do as a technology. But we also have what I call safety net automations as well. So there are some things that you can do in our CRM that we will it'll kind of be automatic. It's completely hands off. And a lot of you said in the chat there that you wanted something automated to stay in touch with your past clients. You want to know how to stay in touch with people over a long period of time. A lot of that is done for you in Realvolve automatically. So you can set a base level of automation that just stays in touch with your sphere and your past clients. And that can just run in perpetuity in the background. So we have like 4-year drip campaigns for after close and things like that to help you nurture your clients, to ask them for reviews, to ask them to check in, to ask, to propose that you provide a current up-to-date market snapshot, market update, home valuation report for them. Excuse me. So a lot of that can be totally automated. We also have something really cool called our contact cross-section. And matter of fact, let me see if I have a little slide on the contact cross-section. That's one of my favorite things about Realvolve. Let me see. Looks like I don't actually. Anyway, if you're interested in more of the safety net, please ask for a demo from one of our team members, and they can show you the contact cross-section and talk to you about it. Essentially what that does is our contact cross-section surfaces the people in your database that have not been followed up with recently, and gives you an easy way to follow up with them. So you can email them, text them, call them right out of our system with just a click of a button, and it creates a nice little tight list of people and categorizes them, whether they're a prospect, whether they're a current client, whether they're a past client. It brings them to the surface and says, because this person is a current client, it doesn't look like you've reached out to them in a week and you're supposedly in the middle of a transaction with them. Make sure to follow up and give them an update. If the automation is running, if you have workflows running on those people, they won't be showing up in the list. Unless they're a past client, it might say, it's been 6 months since you called this person and you have them categorized as an A client. So if this is one of your A clients and you haven't called them in 6 months, it'll put them in the list and say, call them, text them, email them, reach out to them, take them out for coffee. And there's all kinds of really cool things, that our automation does that are just that base level safety net. Make sure that nobody falls through the cracks. Again, whether they're a lead, current client, past client. All right, so next topic I want to cover. What is the value of a client? Hopefully we all understand how crucial our past clients are and how valuable they are to us. I think right now, the problem is exacerbated. All of us want more listings. And if we have not done a good job of following up, or we're still fairly new in the industry, we might not have as many as we want. And so it's important for us to understand the gravity of failing to follow up with a past client. And I think about it this way. When you are dealing with a current client, when you're in the middle of a deal, there is built-in accountability between you and your current clients. You have to be hitting deadlines. You got to show up to the meetings. You got to keep in touch with them and let them know what's going on. But when it comes to leads, they're not going to be calling you saying, why haven't you updated me? Well, what's going on? They don't do that. There's no accountability between you and them. And then past clients is the same thing. Your past clients aren't going to be calling you saying, hey, you haven't called me in a year. I expect a market update. What's my house worth? They're not going to call you frustrated. There's no built-in accountability for leads and past clients. We have to build our own accountability or use a system like Realvolve that helps your team and you stay accountable to your past clients. And I worked up a little calculation. Some of this data is a few years old now, but I worked up this really quick calculator. And so based on the average home price, average commission, average broker fee, average take home, average age of a client, average years in home, the national average right now is actually closer to 10. So it's increasing. People are staying in their homes longer. So before 2008, it was 6. Now it's closer to 10. It depends on your market, but it's closer to 10 average years. So if you do the probability of a repeat client, national average is 23% of people do business with the same real estate agent twice. And then the lifetime referrals per client. So if you have a client that moves every 7 years, or maybe you have 10 clients that move every 7 years, and they are only 50% likely to do business with you again, and each of them gives you 2 referrals over a 10, 20-year period, those clients are worth over $100,000 take-home pay for you. Some of you, that's way underestimated, and some of you are thinking that's a little bit overestimated. Either way, if I'm 50% off, if each client is still worth 50 grand to you, or if each client is worth $200,000 to you, then how much follow-up are we willing to do for that $100,000? Are we willing to call them 4 times a year and have a 5-minute conversation with them? Are we willing to make sure we understand a technology like Realvolve and put them on some simple drip campaigns, text them on their birthday automatically from the system, reach out to them and send them a card on their home, on their wedding anniversary or relationship anniversary? All of these things, when you break them out, are really simple things, but it takes a holistic approach to your technology and your automation to be able to get that done and deliver on that kind of follow-up. But the reason why I wanted to put this up is because we all need to understand how important that is to follow up. We all know we should follow up with our past clients, but when we really see the numbers, it's staggering. There's a lot of money that can be made. And besides that, it is just so much more fun to do business with the same people over and over again. It's way more rewarding to have lifelong clients than to continue chasing after leads over a year in, year out. It's just more rewarding to have a business like that. So here are some trends. Again, I need to update this. This is just a couple years old here. But this was based on the data I could find about a year and a half ago. And this shows what percentage of buyers and sellers were repeat versus referral business, broken out by year, according to NAR survey data. So this was from the profile of home buyers and sellers. And so what we see here is that this trend of total repeat and referral is actually going down. But amongst those 37 or younger, and that's millennials, so it'd actually be about 39 and younger now, or 40 and younger. So millennials are actually more likely to do business with somebody as a result of a referral. So 71% of sellers were from repeat and referral business in 2018 among those millennials and younger, and then 48% of referrals. So you can see this trend of referrals has been pretty flat over the last 10 years, and now it ticks up though once you look at those that are 40 and under. They're more likely to repeat and refer. And so it's even more important than ever to stay in touch and follow up and make sure that we're getting repeat referral business from our database. And in Realvolve, we have a lot of tools. I'm not going to go deep into this, but we have tools to measure how much repeat and referral business you're getting from your database. So we actually track what we call a relationship score in our system, and we roll all the individual relationship scores up into an RFactor. And the RFactor tells you how well you're doing at staying in touch with your current clients and your past clients. The higher the RFactor, it's on a scale of 1 to 10. The higher your RFactor, the more likely you are to get referrals. And we're actually going to predict the number of transactions you're going to do out of your database and the revenue that you're going to bring in out of your database based on how well you do at following up. And so this is the objective third-party opinion at how well you do at staying in touch with your past clients. And it's oftentimes alarmingly accurate. I mean, we've had people that said, out of $1 million of GCI, that our RFactor prediction was like $5,000 off. So it's a really good third-party opinion of how well you're doing at staying in touch. It's a great accountability tool. If you're a team leader of any kind, you'll be able to see what the RFactor is and what the predicted transactions are of everybody on your team. And so it's a great coaching tool to say, look, you got to look at your contact cross-section. You got a bunch of people in here that are past due on follow-ups, and then look at your RFactor prediction. It's only a 3. We need to get that up to a 6. So let's do some more follow-up and more outreach. In that way, it helps you bring what's going to pay you off over a year. It helps it make it immediate because you can see the number that we're predicting today. It's a good motivator, good accountability tool, good coaching tool. So let's get back really quick to that 4D automation. And then I want to show you I want to show you some examples. I got 3 different examples of teams that have used Realvolve and how they're using the automation. So this is kind of the punchline of the presentation today, and I think why you're all here. So again, getting back to this 4D automation, remember we've got the time delays, the dates, the decision points, and the dones. And we've also templated out a lot of different pieces of information and reminders and tasks. So data entry can even be templated out and put into one of these 4D automations. What that means is you can be making follow-up calls to past clients or follow-up calls to new leads, and the system will tell you, ask these questions at this step. So it'll say, make sure when you're reaching out to your past clients, ask them what their birthday is and what their spouse's birthday is, if you don't have that in your CRM. So when you're calling them, it'll pop up. You can fill that field out, and it saves it to their contact record. So data entry is templated out and usable in that 4D automation. Checklists, emails, text messages, entire campaigns, tasks, reminders, all of this is templated out ahead of time. You can mix and match it, put it into a workflow, and away you go. You run that same workflow over and over again with every single client. But because of the way our technology works, it's all built around milestones in a relationship, in a transaction, or in a listing. So let me show you one example. Now, this is just one example of one milestone date and the 4D automation that works around it. Don't get hung up on this exact example. You might say, I'm not interested in doing it that way, but just stay flexible and follow me through here, because any milestone that you can think of in a transaction or in a relationship at all can be put into this 4D automation platform or framework. And you can automate, like I said, the checklist, the data entry, the tasks, the emails, the text messages, you name it, can all be edited around any milestone. So it can be around a lead creation date. It can be around a home purchase date, an anniversary date. It can be around a birthday. It can be around a holiday. It can be around an appraisal date, an inspection date, a close date, a clear to close date. Any date you can think of, I'm willing to bet it's already in our system, and you can use it for the 4D automation. So here's one example. Let's say I'm representing the buyer in this case, and it's time to schedule a home inspection on the property. So we've got an offer in, and we're running an inspection. I'm going to take, or my assistant, either me or my assistant is going to take the home inspector from the left column, drag them into the home inspector slot in the transaction screen that we're looking at here. Now I have the home inspector identified. He's associated with this transaction. I put the home inspection date and time in the transaction as well. So it's October 25th at 7:30 a.m. Now Realvolve puts that date on my calendar, syncs it to my Google Calendar so I can see it on my phone, sends a reminder or a confirmation out to everybody, letting them know the date, time, and the location. It dynamically inserts all of that into the reminder. 24 hours before the home inspection, there's an email and a text message reminder to everybody involved. And there could be, let's just say, 6 people in this case involved. It's me representing the buyer and their spouse, the agent on the other end of the transaction, my assistant, and the home inspector. All 6 of us get that reminder the day before with the date, time, location. If it's a first-time home buyer even, I can say why they should show up to the inspection, or if you don't like it when they show up, why they shouldn't show up and what you're going to be looking for, what to expect next. 2 days after the inspection date, when that day comes and goes, Realvolve is going to send a reminder to me or to my assistant or to both of us saying, do you have the home inspection back? Now remember, that's the done step in the 4D automation. Is it done or not? And if I click no, I don't have the inspection report back, it's going to send an email out to the home inspector with a gentle reminder that was already pre-written ahead of time saying, when do you think I can expect that report back? If I click the box yes, it's going to remind me of any due diligence, any negotiation, anything that needs to happen after I've gotten the home inspection report back. That can be templated out in a little short checklist for me to review, make sure I don't miss anything. If I've got agents that I'm trying to onboard and recruit and bring onto my team, this is also a fantastic onboarding tool because all they have to do is run through 1 or 2 of these in Realvolve, and they're going to know how the team likes things done and expects things to get done. So now I can maintain a very high level of customer service. My clients are kept in the loop on everything. I'm holding the contractors accountable to the dates and deadlines that we've all agreed to. And again, I can lay my head down on my pillow at night, resting assured that everything is taken care of. So Danny has a question: what email platform does this sync with? Any email platform. So we sync IMAP. Whatever you have, we can pretty much sync with. So case study time. Krista Mayshore, 69 homes in her first year. Personally sold over 100 homes per year since then. Whether she has 2 leads a day or 50 leads per day, Realvolve follows up with all of them. So she feeds a lot of Facebook leads into Realvolve, and a lot of the automation happens from there. One thing that I wanted to show you, though, is the listing appointment automation that she and her team do. And they convert upwards of 90% of all of the listing appointments they go on because they have a process about how they do listing appointments that they've perfected over time. So when they get a listing appointment, they put the date on the calendar. So let's say October 25th there with the home above the calendar, that's the listing appointment date. And so once they create that listing appointment date and they start their listing appointment workflow, there's a reminder for their marketing coordinator. My Siri is going off. So there is a reminder immediately to their marketing coordinator to create the listing presentation package. And then 2 days before, a reminder to send the listing presentation video email, or that can be an automatic email that goes out. So for her team, they've got a pre-recorded kind of a team promo video that they got professionally produced. And that email goes out through Realvolve with the BombBomb integration. So they put that in a BombBomb video. It automatically sends out 2 days before. A day before the listing appointment, the agent that's running that appointment gets a text message, and it reminds them to call and confirm the appointment. In the text message, it puts the address of the appointment, the phone number, and the names of the clients that they're meeting with. And then they just click the phone number out of the text message and call them. And they have all of the information there in the text message. So the agent could just be going ho-hum about their day. Boom, they get that text message. Easy peasy. I call them, confirm the appointment. And then the listing coordinator, or I'm sorry, the marketing coordinator then delivers a brochure, drops it off on their porch that day. So when the listing agent or the listing agent is calling them to confirm the appointment, they also say, look out for a brochure. You're about to get it on your front porch if you don't have it already. They do the listing appointment. If they don't walk away with a signed agreement, then there's a follow-up that begins. So there's a workflow that starts automatically when they say, no, didn't get the listing appointment. Again, that's the choose your own adventure part. Yes, we got the appointment, start the pre-list. No, I didn't get the appointment, start the follow-up workflow. Make sure that we convert a lot of our deals. Krista told me Realvolve keeps you organized and it keeps you systematic, keeps you calling leads and customers, all while keeping the you factor in it. That's the key to our technology. It puts you and your team at the forefront. Technology disappears. All they know is they're getting amazing email, text message communication. Things are happening on time. They're getting a high level of service. Let's talk about Nate Martinez in Scottsdale area. He and his team do about 180 homes per year. They focus on customer service processes. Nothing falls through the cracks. Each step in every process has scripts to go along with the tasks. So every time the agents get a task that has any kind of communication with their clients, it's all scripted out right there in the task in Realvolve. It pops up on the screen for them. There's no guesswork there. So here is an example of the types of automations that Nate and his team had built in Realvolve, and they went through our Navigator program, by the way. So if you're interested in getting help with Realvolve, we have an amazing staff that was built foundationally by real estate agents and listing coordinators from the industry. We hired them full-time to help us build out this program. And so Nate has a listing appointment workflow, a listing pre-MLS workflow, an active MLS listing, a seller open house, maintain listing, a price change, and a cancel expired listing. So these are just the, 7 workflows around listings only. And you can see there's 18 activities in the listing appointment, 2 emails, 3 texts, 3 calls. So everything is really well thought through and automated for everybody on the team. Nate says, I'm exactly the opposite of what everybody tells you to do. I don't prospect. I don't knock doors. I don't cold call. I just basically work my database. Our business is pretty much answering the phone every agent needs to be using Realvolve. And Nate told me after they went through the Navigator program, I don't know how anybody does any CRM without something like what Realvolve has for the Navigator program, because there's just so much that every CRM does. It can be very confusing. And every time we talk to agents, I shouldn't say every time, but a lot of time, I talk to agents about the technologies that they're using. A lot of us feel like we're not getting the most out of our technology. We're paying for this tool, but I'm not really using it to 100% of its potential because I just don't have the time to devote into learning all the ins and outs of the technology. So our Navigator program solves that for you. Treasure Davis and the Treasure Davis teams. One of my favorite real estate teams that I've ever seen. They're down in my hometown, actually. They do about 350 plus homes a year. And Treasure and her team focus on team culture and process. They have a very small team. Everybody pulls their weight, and they're able to do that because they have these daily team routines. Their culture is all built around automation and high customer service. And their automation is all built to reflect the core values of the team, both internally and externally to their clients and to their community. Here's one example of how Treasure and her team approach automation. So they have these amazing workflows that include multiple people on the team. So they have a buyer pending workflow that's 116 activities. The transaction coordinator does 73 of those. The buyer's agent does 30 of those. They have a client care coordinator and a marketing coordinator that do 6 and 3 of those each, respectively. And the team leader, Treasure herself, does 4 of those activities with every buyer. And I told you they're working with 350 plus families a year. And Treasure on every single deal is reaching out to the client and saying, thank you so much for doing business with us. I hope everything's going well. Congratulations on getting an offer. Congratulations on offer accepted. And she's sending these videos out and these automated emails and these text messages that come from Treasure herself. And it really helps the team because it creates this central culture that every client that comes through experiences. And it goes all through, right? All throughout the whole organization. They feel like they're getting an army that is supporting them in their transaction and in their listing. And it's just really well done through the automation. Treasure says being on a team requires a system that allows you to interact with multiple people within it, and Realvolve does just that with the amazing capabilities it offers. So automation can be a daunting task. We can be, it's easy for us to get inundated by technology and systems and feel overwhelmed with what we have to do next. And we understand that at Realvolve. We really do. We know how daunting some technologies can be, and we know what it's like to go through the day-to-day of running a business, especially if you're a sole proprietor and you're trying to do everything yourself. You're trying to do the sales, the marketing, the operations, the accounting. You're doing it all. The customer service, everything, right? Not to mention how lonely it can be to be running a small team or to be working on your own. It's a lonely job. And a lot of people don't even understand the value that we provide to the world through all these services that we provide to them when there's these big transactions going on. A lot of the things that Realvolve does center around making you the hero again, helping your clients understand everything that you do, and making sure that you are at the center of the transaction and every listing that you do, and that you get credit for all of that extra work that you have to do behind the scenes. And we've also built a Navigator program combined with our technology, our 4D automation platform, and a very robust CRM, which I didn't really talk about. But all the CRM features that go into it as well, you'll be pleasantly surprised at how elegantly we've thought through some of the problems and challenges that you have to face in your day-to-day, made it easy for you to keep things up to date. Keeping tags and keeping your clients categorized, a lot of that's automated as well, so you don't have to go in and manually change everything. And the way we've done all of that, again, with our Navigator program, is meant for busy agents or agents that want to grow, take their business to the next level. So it'll help you get out from underneath that day-to-day grind and get on top of it and feel like you can have more time to focus on the culture of your team, the marketing that you're running, lead conversion, more one-on-one conversations and interactions with your past clients. The things that actually matter in the long run that help you build up momentum So we like to talk about a flywheel. A flywheel takes a lot of energy to get it spinning, but once you get that thing spinning, there's momentum that can really carry you through and carry your clients through to the next stage in the relationship that you have with them. And so I want to challenge you, if you are at all intrigued with what we're doing here, and I know probably some of you are already Realvolve customers. And so for those of you that are currently Realvolve customers that have not gone through our Navigator program, I want to challenge you to reach out to sales@realvolve.com and just ask about our Navigator program. We're not going to bite. No is a perfectly acceptable answer, but I would love to at least get the information in your hands, talk to you about the challenges that you're facing in your business, and explore whether or not our Realvolve system, our Realvolve program with the Navigator program could potentially be a good fit for you. And like I said, no is always a perfectly acceptable answer. We understand we're not for everybody, but I think we do a pretty darn good job of covering all the bases and making it easy enough that you can get it running. We've got a whole library of content. The best of the best agents from around the country have devoted, I mean, we have lots of people in Canada, we have lots of people in the United States that have contributed to this library. We have Canadian-specific workflows, United States-specific workflows. There's dozens and dozens of different automations that you can just plug and play in your business. You can tweak them a little bit, make them your own, add your own personality, and you could be off to the races pretty quickly, especially if you get started with our Navigator program. So that's all I had today. I just wanted to share those 3 stories of how really successful teams are using automation a little bit differently than maybe some of us have ever thought about using it before, and show you all of the things that Realvolve can do, all of the heavy lifting that our application can do for you and your team, and hopefully whet your appetite a little bit to at least just check out what we're doing here, and maybe explore having you become a part of our community of growing agents and growing teams. So Ava says, what's the email again to ask for Navigator? So just sales@realvolve.com. Sales@realvolve.com works. So looks like Mark answered a few questions there. Clinton's a current FirePoint user. Yeah, so Clinton, you know, the transaction and listing side of Realvolve, a lot of people are using both. I think we have about 255 different people, last time I checked, using both Realvolve and FirePoint. FirePoint's great for lead generation, lead conversion, and Realvolve, I think, shines when it comes to the transaction listing management and past client follow-up. So if you're interested, Clinton, in having a quick conversation, there is an integration as well between Realvolve and FirePoint. So if you're interested, reach out, sales@realvolve.com. Let us know you're a FirePoint user. And again, no is a perfectly simple answer. We're here to help. There's no pressure, but we do want to explore whether or not that could be a potential good fit for you. There's a lot of people that are using kind of those all-in-one platforms along with Realvolve, and a lot of those people are FirePoint users. So there's people using Sync and Boomtown and the other great all-in-ones that we have in our industry, in addition to Realvolve. What a lot of people do is once a lead is actually converted in those lead generation systems, they say now they're a client and they go into Realvolve. And only clients go into Realvolve for some of those people. Just depends on how you're running your team. That might not make sense for you, but for a lot of people, it does make sense to keep those databases separate. Here's my prospecting database. Here's my client. This is a gold over here is my client database. And I treat them differently. I communicate with them differently. And I want to be able to keep those two things separate. There's a lot more sorting, tagging capability in Realvolve that makes it really great for the current client's past client environment. So yeah, thanks for joining, Clinton. Any other questions? I got another couple of minutes here. If anybody has questions, feel free to put those in the chat. Otherwise, go start a free trial at realvolve.com. Go to realvolve.com. You can click start a free trial right there on the homepage. No credit card required, 2-week free trial. If you do start a free trial, we'll reach out to you and try to have a conversation. Just let us know if you're not interested, and we'll kind of take you off the list and stop hounding you. But I can assure you my sales team is very good, very persistent, and they do a good job of making sure we get a hold of people and just explore the opportunities with them. Ava says monthly cost. Yeah, so the monthly cost is flexible. There are a few different prices depending on what you want to do. I told you about the Navigator program. So it's anywhere from, $70 a month up to thousands of dollars a month, depending on what you want to do. And then if you have a team, it just gets a little bit less expensive per person as you get going. It's relatively affordable. You can find $20 CRMs out there, but I'm a big believer in that you get what you pay for. If you're just looking for a glorified spreadsheet, maybe those $20, $25 a month solutions are probably right for you. I mean, there's even solutions that are $100 a year in our industry. They just don't have the level of automation. They don't save you the same amount of time. And so it just totally depends on what you're trying to get done in your business. If you're wanting, if the automation idea sounds appealing to you, it might be worth a couple extra bucks a month to get that benefit in your business. But we always say no is a perfectly acceptable answer, but just turning a blind eye is just not a good way to go. It's a good idea to at least understand the CRM landscape in our industry and get enough information so that you can make an educated judgment call on what makes sense for you right now. And some people change CRMs every couple of years. I would never advocate doing that. I think it's extremely disruptive. I think it's good to pick one that you think fits with you, that you can grow with. That's the way we built Realvolve, is that you're not going to outgrow it. We've got teams that are doing hundreds and hundreds of transactions a year, and then we've got people that are doing a dozen transactions a year. The beautiful thing is, as you add team members, as you want to add some complexity to your processes because there's more people involved, Realvolve can keep up with all of that complexity and help grow with you. It's a really expandable system. So yeah, Mark echoed the same comments in the chat there. So thank you, Mark. All right, any other questions that we might have? If not, go to realvolve.com, start a free trial, reach out to us via email, sales@realvolve.com, and we would love to start that conversation with you, see if it might be a good fit. Thanks again for joining, everybody. I really appreciate your engagement today, and I hope you got something out of it, maybe a little bit of inspiration to relook at some of the things that you're doing in your business. That was my intent today. If you have any other questions, reach out to sales@realvolve.com. If you have questions for me, you can email me, dale.warner@realvolve.com. And I'll put that here in the chat. dale.warner@realvolve.com, and let us know what we can do to help you. Thanks, everybody. Have a great day. Hopefully you're killing it in your business right now, and hopefully we'll see you on the next one. Bye for now.